Hey, how's it going, everybody? This is Sean here. Today we are going to go over Visual Composer and some more elements to the Frederick Barnes website project at our local university. And for common knowledge of people out there on the web, Visual Composer is basically is just a grid framework that allows you to add, different modules and plugins dynamically on the page. So I'm using a theme called Bruno, and it's a really awesome theme. Let me show you what we've got going on so far. And I started putting this together yesterday. So far I've put about 14 hours into this website just this week. And I've designed everything, and then I went to the old production site we were using because we were having some issues with the domain and the bandwidth, and we're unable to get certain factors going on there. So this is what we got. This is what we've been building, and I've got everything connected and wired out except for a few minor things. I mean, this site's looking real good. So other than that, we're pretty much ready to go. This is what's awesome about using this. You get all these components that are bound to jQuery, so you have an up-to-date, fully responsive mobile website. So all right, well, let's get into it here. So today, to use Visual Composer with the Bruno theme, first thing we would do is go to the page in question you're wanting to edit, and you click up here at the very top. Let me magnify it for you and blow that up. Here we go. Right here it says Edit Visual Composer. You go ahead and click that. After you click that, you will come to the Visual Composer page. It takes any short codes and different sections that aren't applicable that you're putting in through the Visual Composer, and it keeps them out of it. So if you have like a certain section coded out, it's not going to show that, so you can't code it, so it doesn't code over it, or you can't add any modules over it. So this section back here has actually got a short code in it from Revolution slider, which made this really cool slider that we put together for our man that we're doing the site for. Here you can see we've added another slider in here, this 3D slider. And how this works, essentially, we're already on it. Let me get over here. Alright, this is the edit mode in Visual Composer. So, as you can see, everything kind of, as soon as I hover my mouse over it, pops up here. Alright, now you notice that short code is gone for the slider that was up there. That's because that's hard coded into the page. Now, like any WordPress page, you can go to the back end like you would normally see it, and I'm about to show you that. We just kind of seen it for a second there, but this blows up a view so you can start adding components in here. It's based off a grid. You have to kind of build the grid. Up here in the corner where my mouse is, up in the left hand corner, you can actually, they got templates, grid layouts, and then you can add all the different components right here at the plus. But you can also add components dynamically here. And considerably, what you do is you take a row first. You always start with the row, and then you add a column. Now you can press the button that goes over to the side. It will expand this, and you can change the layout of the row to all these different layout types here. So you got a full page section, half and half section, and so on, quarter sections, third sections, 6 sections, 5/4 sections, all that different stuff. And this is how you build a layout for a section. See, when building a website, everything's built in sections, predetermined sections, usually about 1080 pixels in height and about 1920 in width. Those are the typical section types. So after you load the row in, then you add your columns in. This one only has one column because I've centered it. What I've done is I've taken the row and I've put a quarter on the quarter row section on each side, and then the half section in the middle, which gives the effect that we were wanting for this specific block of code here. Which this is actually a short code too, but I put this short code in through Visual Composer, not through the page. There's a difference. Using Visual Composer, you lay everything on top of Visual Composer, and it handles it. If you add things into the back page, like I'm about to show you in a minute, then it'll handle it in the back page and will not show it through Visual Composer. So basically, all you do is you lay out your sections and your rows, and you can do this with any page. As long as you have Visual Composer installed, you can add this kind of structure to Visual Composer and add awesome stuff. Now I've added my column in here. Now let's take a look at what Visual Composer actually offers. Once you press this any plus button, you'll get all these same different options. Now you see up here you can add contact forms, text blocks, icons, separators. These are all the different plugins that I have installed, and some of the ones that came with the Bruno theme I'm going to show you down here because they're really super cool. And basically you can see the plethora of different things. You can add progress bars with real data. You can even wire the data up with real code and connect it through APIs. Say for like instance Google Analytics data. You got your Facebook, your tweet buttons, you got video players, and all I gotta do is click one of these and drag it into position. Alright, and each of these has different Visual Composer edit controls where you can add margins and padding around it, different backgrounds around it, so you can fully customize the space in which you're putting the module in. So I mean, it's totally customizable. That's why I like Visual Composer. It's a fast way to throw a site together, and it's very functional, and it's totally responsive. The jQuery libraries in here are just insane. You get fully customized jQuery libraries loaded with this thing that you can use for animations and all the stuff that people love to look at on websites today. You got this masonry grid. These post grids I'm going to go into in depth because one of my colleagues in class is building a gallery page, and this is what he needs to know. I'm going to show you the blog carousel here. This is this isn't the carousel that you've seen up there. That is a custom carousel called 3D carousel. But this one right here, this does the same thing as a normal post carousel. These ones that say DP in front of them are for the Bruno theme. DP is the initials that they're using for their company, I suppose, but these are all fully animated. You got feature boxes, you got flip boxes. That's when you hover over them, the image flips around. You got hover boxes that pop out. You got animated icons. You got animated hotspots where you can select hotspots on an image and time them out, and whenever you hover over them, actions happen. These are all based off hover and click events using the jQuery. You got dynamic Google Maps. You got dynamic galleries. Really cool image banners that you can customize back and front. You got image stacks where you can have stacks of different images overlay and come out, and you can assign different animations to them. I'm actually using another plugin called Animate It, and that allows us to assign an animation to any of these properties or any of these plugins, any of these widgets, and that you'll see in a minute when you pull up some of this. So when you pull up the options to edit one of these and place it, you'll see it down there, and you'll be able to select an animation for it as well. This thing's got everything for business, like opening hours. You got your pricing columns, pricing boxes, process bars, carousels. You got a slick carousel, which is that one's pretty cool. You got teasers, which I'm not really sure what those are. You got testimonial quotes, which are animated. You got text box that look like full posts with the images and the text, and then you can add your forms, new sliders, and you got all your WooCommerce plugins here, so you can add any product, any type of account. You can customize a page, and then your WP custom menu to customize any menu. So you can add all of this stuff. It also gives you the option to divide these out by category so you don't get lost. So these are the ones by dynamic press. the ones who made the Bruno theme. And then I got WooCommerce up here. I'll divide it, or you can click all of them. So let's click out of that. Right now I want to add a title. This one right here. This is over in the left, and I want it titled above this section right here because it's an animation course stats, and I want it bigger, and I want it animated, and I want it above this. It's over to the left now. Now you can add grids here, but you're using a lot of process with your computer when you're doing that. So this is kind of, I say fast. It's fast to throw a page together like this, but it takes a minute to actually structure a page out this way. That's why you go up here to the right, and let me show you here, and where you see backend editor right here, and this section right here, you click that and it'll take you to the back end. Now this is just the normal back-end page view, but it has the back-end in Visual Composer mode. Now, as you'll see, here's that rev slider in the hard code box right there, and this is a hard code section. So you can see the pluses here. Every time you add a plus, you can add a different column, add a different row, and this is the way I like to structure it out. I go back here, I'll lay out the grid, the format of how I want the page laid out, because I usually mock up a web page first, kind of get a little initial design. I'll sketch out on paper real quick and figure out everything's going to go. And then I'll come here and I'll transcribe it onto here and make a grid. So all you got to do is you can click here, add another page container, you click here, add another section. It might look confusing, but I'm showing you all these little pluses because all these little pluses, when you click them, you're adding a different section. Now, as you notice, those are the different sections we have on the front page. So here's the headline, here's that stack slider that I showed you. Then we got the second section down here, which has got that pricing column, which I have centered in the page. And then here's what I've added here. Now I'll go ahead and trash this, and we'll add it again, so I can show you how to do it. So we have that section with the cool blocks with the numbers in them that show all the user stats for the people who've purchased this course. And I'm going to go ahead and I want to put a title directly above that. Since this is already sectioned out in the 3 different columns here, as you can see, I'm going to go ahead and press this button right here, and I'm going to add a row. And after I add a row, I'm going to simply go up here, and I want it centered, so I'm going to select this option here, 1/4 plus 1/2 plus 1/4. I could go ahead and add the 1/6 plus 4/6, but I don't have that many words I'm typing, so I'm just going to stick with the half. So I click that, and boom, it automatically generates it and gives me the pluses. Now all I got to do is add my modules. So here I go, adding a module. Here I'm going to add a text block. I do have a custom heading. I can go ahead and add that. Leave it at custom text. You can actually suck in part of a custom an actual page too, the headings from a page. So I'm just going to put here animation course stats 2018, and then I'm going to scroll down. I want it to be an we go ahead and H2. Actually, yeah, H2 will be fine. I want to center align it. I want my font size to be, let's go ahead and go with 34. I want my line height to be 300. I want my text color to be like a black, but kind of grayish black. We got Google Fonts loaded. Here's what I'm talking about, the CSS animations. So this is a plugin. This wouldn't be here unless you have the animated plugin installed. And this works without Visual Composer. If you don't use Visual Composer and you're just using regular old WordPress, it'll animate all your different modules for you. So I can go here and I can select all these different animations. So I'll go ahead and select the bounce in down, and it'll show you kind of what it does over here to the side. So fade in big left. So yeah, let's just do the bounce in down. That works. And then you can add different element IDs and extra classes if you have your own style sheet going on. That way you can connect it to it and add your things. And then over here, all of these sections, even the ones on the front page, have these design options, and they all look like this. And this is what I was telling you. You can add padding around here. You have to put the number plus the PX or the percentage, whatever CSS standard abbreviation you need to use. That's how you got to put it in there. So if I wanted 5 pixels padding around this, I'd put 5 pixels padding around this, which I'm going to go ahead and put 5 pixels. I'm actually going to put it all the way around it just to even it up and make sure it's good to go. Over here you got border style, so if I wanted to put a border around this component, then I'd be able to. I go ahead and I can assign a border radius in pixels. The background color for the whole section, it lets me choose the theme defaults, whether I want to cover, contain it, all these different things. And box controls, which simplify the controls on the front end for Visual Composer while I'm on a production site. If I'm actually logged in as a user, then I can edit. So I leave that unchecked. But other than that, you click down here, Save Changes, and that is it. Now let's go up here to the right corner. Always update when you were done. And then let's go ahead and go back to the actual page in question. Let's go ahead and refresh the page and see what we got. Alright, now I go down here from this column and I come down. Page still loading? There we go. It was still loading up. So animation course stats 2018. Yeah, why is it see all this white space here? Well, it seems we got a problem here because we have all this white space in between what I've laid out and that. So apparently we got a problem. So let's go ahead and let's refresh the front end editor and see what's going on here. As you can see, it takes a little while to load up, but like I said, it's a good tool. It's just a page builder. Basically lays out sections and grids for you because it's a real pain in the butt to try to code out all those sections with Flexbox yourself, and I'd much rather do it this way. Now we got there. Now see, you can see the sections here. Maybe it looks like there's maybe too many sections, or that section is too big, because I'm following this down. I can see the little gray lines. I don't know if you could see them on the recording, but that thing is going all the way down here. So yeah, and then there's my copy. So yeah, we did something wrong here. Let's go back here to the back end section. Now let's look at this headline that we got in here. Alright, so this whole entire section right here, guess let me go in here to the main editings of the row, and that'll give you extra. This you can match it up to a row. Design options, border, theme defaults. Let's go back here to the inner column settings. Responsive options. These responsive options here let you delegate the column style too. So this says 6 columns, 1 column, or 1/2. Save changes to see what that does. Let's go ahead and delete this real quick, and then we'll update it. And then let's refresh it and see what we have, because it needs to be right above here, and it's coming up really huge. And it shouldn't be that big of a gap in between there. And this will be good for you guys to learn how to troubleshoot these, so you can understand how everything lines up in this page builder here. So there we go. So it was that component because we still have the row connected there. So let's take a look here. And let's refresh the front screen page, and let's see if we can put a custom heading in here. I might just go ahead and put a custom text so I don't have to worry, because I only put 5 pixels of padding around it. Maybe that's what threw it off. I have no idea, because there's only about 4 inches on the page what I'm looking at, so it shouldn't have, you know, give me a whole extra page section. So let's go ahead and we'll add here just text block, and we'll say animation course stats 2018, capitalize that, go ahead and make that an H2. I'm hoping that H2 didn't have nothing to do with it. It might have been the line height too. So I'll go ahead, changes, save changes. Now let's go over here to the inner row, and let's change the layout. Alright, layout's fine. Let's go to the inner column and let's edit that. And we got 3 1/4 columns. Let's put 6 1/2 columns. Save changes. That didn't do anything. So let's go back up here to general. Now I just edited this one right here, so I'm gonna go ahead and go back and I'm gonna change that to 1/4. So that's what I'm seeing here. So let's go over here, we'll go back over here and we'll just add it to 1/4. Save that. Get out of there. So that's 1/4, that's 1/4. Now this row right here, because you see however I hover over each one of these, it gives me the column, and then I can edit each column. So there's a column, there's a column. So let's edit the middle column. I thought I was editing the middle column. And let's go ahead and go back to design options, or the responsive options, I'm sorry. And this is only set at half. So let's set at, let's go ahead and try 3/4. There we go. Let's see what that does. Alright, that was a little too big, so let's go ahead and narrow that back down, because now it's pushing that column down here below that. So let's go here. Apparently it was just that column settings were too abrupt, so we'll just go ahead and we will call it a half. Alright, that looks a lot better. Now I still have space on each side. It's perfectly even. Now let's go ahead and update it. See, sometimes you got to toggle between the back end and the front end. Like I said, I usually go lay out the grid of whatever I'm going to do in the back end, and I'll add some basic components, but I always add my components in the front for the most part, because this is the way it's going to actually look. So let's go ahead and go back to the home page. Let's refresh it. Alright, got that coming up. We got the animations gallery. We got the product for sale. And now we have a centered title here. And that looks good to me, folks. That's all I was wanting to try to do. Now let's go ahead and go back to the back end so I can show you a few other things. We talked about adding a grid gallery. There's several grid galleries. Those grids you showed. In order to add the grid gallery, this Bruno theme and Visual Composer gives you several different components over here on the side. These are all different post types. You have to go to the portfolio. If you're building a gallery of images or even products, but for this instance, we're going to go ahead and call them images. If you're building a gallery of images, you're going to have to go to this portfolio. You're going to have to add a new portfolio, create one, and then you're going to have to add all the portfolio objects to it. And of course, you can call it categories. So if I was doing one with images, I'd make a whole portfolio full of images. If I had one that was full of products, I'd make a portfolio full of product images. But this is for your portfolio. I have WooCommerce installed so I can create my products there. The rest of what's going on here on the side, if I wanted to add slides that work with the Visual Composer, I'd go over here to slides and I'd make me a slideshow. And then when I add the slide component there, it would select the slide that I've built over here in the left column, and I'd be able to lay it on the front page. Okay. Contact, this would be the contact form information. We're using Gravity Forms. I highly recommend using Gravity Forms. This plugin, or I'm sorry, this theme, Bruno theme, it actually relies on Contact Form 7, but I've recoded it so it works with Gravity Forms. Then I have a Membership Pro, Pay Membership Pro plugin on here, so that way people have to pay for their user status to sign up. Bruno actually lets you manipulate and brand the way the login section will work, and much more. If you're gonna use the Bruno theme, you would come here to where it says Bruno, and you go to template options. Okay, the import and export, don't worry about that, because it connects to a server to import and export things, and we don't want to mess with that right now. But if you're using the Bruno theme, you got general options, which, you know, basic position sizes of your page. You can put code in the footer, and you build some classes here for your custom CSS code for the Bruno theme. Typography, it lets you use Google fonts. It also lets you use Font Scroll and standard fonts that come with the theme, and you got all kinds of different options with the fonts. A warning about Google fonts in any WordPress theme: when it comes to block rendering JavaScript in the Google search engine, Google web fonts takes a lot of resources. It slows your site down really, really bad. Always go check your website at Google Page Speed Console, and it'll let you throw your link in there to whatever website, and you can see how fast it's going, and it'll give you a score based on you know, what the actual search engine sees. Typically, if a website doesn't open within 2 seconds, it's a bad deal, and you can get penalized from Google, because Google does penalize. So other than that, you got your appearance here, which you can actually use gradient colors in the WordPress theme here. That's what I love about this theme. And you get to assign every single color's different attributes. Everything from your page layouts, your bar styles, your head main style. I get to add all the logos right here, so it does all my branding right up front. All my custom branding for the different menu types right here. And I got it's a dynamic menu where it shows my full menu across, and then it'll split into 2 left and a right menu with the brand logo in the middle. So that's where you would adjust all this, and this would be the brand logo in the middle. Here, I'll show you on the site. See up here how it's split, and I got 2 menus, which I'm not finished with the menus yet. But if I go all the way to the top, you see how it blends in, and it's still split, and I got a different logo. Now when I start scrolling, it changes and turns into a white theme, and these are all, you know, jQueried titles in my header. So it's a really cool deal for my header menu. Then we go down here, and it's just more branding. This is like the page right here. This is each page has a header. You can turn it on or off based on what page. If you're just creating a basic like contact page, you don't have to have a big header section up there, but this puts the like kind of uniform header section that's going to be in every single page, and you can change that here. So if you don't like the header showing up in other pages, like the about page or your shopping page or your contact page, whatever page you're creating other than your home page, this is where you would change that. It's right here. In the appearance section of the Bruno and in the menu. You got your main content styles. All of these were preset, and I've changed the colors because this basically lays out and writes the whole CSS style sheet for the theme, and that's why they give you access to it, so you can manipulate these factors because it's a dynamic style sheet. Then you got your content options up here. This is your 404 page. This is where you lay out your grid section for your portfolio, which, like we talked over here, your portfolio. If you want to add image gallery, it's not called an image gallery, it's called a portfolio, because if you're an artist, you're going to have a portfolio of your images. So that's what they're going at here. So I got 10 images laid out here per page, and you can change this to 2, 3, 4, whatever you want. And then your related images and all the different metadata that goes along with that. Then you got your blog layout settings. So if this client wants to write blogs every time he comes up with a new piece or a new course, there you go. And then you got your other content settings, and then you have all your social media settings, which, just to get the links to show up, you can go ahead and put a hashtag on all the ones that you plan on doing. Then you come back and actually throw your links in, and then you're good to go. Then everywhere on the site you'll be able to do that. Your advanced section here, I wouldn't mess with this because I had to go get a Google API, and it's connected dynamically, so it loads the map up correctly. It's got the custom USS feed for the site in there because I enabled the feed. So when we connect it to an email list, every time a new post, blog page, or anything is created and it's posted and published, it'll automatically connect with that emailing service to allow anybody who's on that emailing list to know that a new page was created, and it sends them a push notification via email with a snapshot of the new article with some links to the site, and that's how that works. In order to use an emailing system, you have to connect your RSS feed, which you do that down in your settings over here. Or actually do it in your tools. You go to your available tools and turn it on, and you do it in your settings too. You turn on your general, and then you go through your reading and writing. You set up your media descriptions and your permalinks. And I've done a video on the permalinks before, so you should know to set it to custom and get rid of everything out there except the post name. For the Bruno theme, this is where you import the sample data. Like I said, this has to connect to their server, and it's all on a time basis of 30 to 90 seconds, and it times out a lot, and it's real fickle. If a lot of people are connecting to it, then it's gonna crash. So I don't know why they did it that way. I guess a security measure, but it's a real pain in the butt. And your Yoast here, of course, that's for your SEO options. This is to optimize the website for the search engine, not to mention the tactics that I've taught you in other videos that you need to be implementing on your pages, so that way everything that you write and do actually works in this SEO plugin. That's what you're doing it for, and this shows up on every page, so you can modify it at the bottom of every page and every post type. Then, like I said, over here you got your branding options. This is the login page. I'm gonna go ahead and change this real quick, and if anybody wants to log in, I will go ahead and pick out one of the many different logos we have here. The bigger one I have, where's it at? Right there. So I'm gonna go ahead and stick that in there. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna go with this one. This one the client actually made, and I think that'll do good sitting above there. And then if you want to change the one over here to the left in the admin panel, you can, but why bother? I guess I can go ahead and change it for the client just so it looks cool, but and you can set the size, and it usually would be like 20 by 20. So let's save that and see what happens. Now when anybody comes to log into this site that's a user, they'll be able to see this brand logo and then the login box for their email and everything. So it's pretty cool. Plus I've got the caching set, so you can go ahead and delete everything that's cached, because while you're working on a site, it collects all that information and holds it, so some of your changes don't take effect. It's because your site's cached. You got to remember, you're dealing with a web browser. It records information in the cookies. It records the metadata the little changes on your site. And WordPress is basically metadata built on a PHP backend. I mean, that's the entirety of it. I mean, it's got an HTML cover, basically, with some JavaScript, jQuery interactions, but for the most part, it's schema, which is what talks to Google the best, and PHP scripting. So, all right. So let me go ahead and just redo that and load it back up, and we should see the change here. Now you see it's like nice and huge over here. It's typically why I don't mess with it, even if it's 20 by 20. So I don't know. Let me remove the image, go back here and upload another one, as I have a smaller one back here. Let me actually load it up. I don't think I did. So, but either way, that's pretty much it. You gotta go to the actual top of the page. Let me load this up really quick. Well, I'll have to make it. I didn't load it up yet. Alright, either way, I'll fix that in a second. But here's how you do it. You go to the home page, click the Edit with Visual Composer if you have it turned on and it's activated, and that's it. Then you come over here and you start editing things on the page. You just click the little pencil. If you click the little two folders, you're going to clone that element. If you click the trash can, it's going to delete that element. And you can, every single little line of text, number, every element on this whole entire page is totally 100% customizable, editable with this visual builder. So pretty simple, and that's about it. If you have any questions, like I said, send me a message or leave your comments below. And don't forget to keep on programming.